So this is review video 2 for the quiz on Unit 8. And what you see in front of you are 6 different types of transformation questions that could appear on the quiz. So again, you're going to pause your video, you're going to have this on your screen, and you're going to do the work wherever you want to do it, just so you can make sure that when you press play, that your answers match my answers. And if you don't understand it, then you can watch that part of the video to say, okay, here's what I don't understand, and hopefully there's a little bit of clarification there. So, valuation of point D by a scale factor of 3 means that the image D prime is going to have each coordinate multiplied by a factor of 3. So again, 3 times negative 8 is negative 24, and 3 times 3 is 9. So my D prime is going to have coordinates of negative 24, positive 9. When we reflect something across the x-axis, right, negative 2, 5 is in the second quadrant. Okay, when you reflect it across the x-axis, it's going to end up in the third quadrant. The only reason that I'm showing you that and as with a sketch is because when you reflect over the x-axis, the only thing that changes is your height. Right? Your y value is the only thing that's going to change. So my r prime is going to have the same x value as my r did. The only thing that's going to change is that my y value is going to be the opposite, because they need to be equidistant from the line of reflection, which is my line of symmetry or my x-axis. Rotate the point P 90 degrees clockwise. Now P is going to be in quadrant number 1, and to go clockwise, it's going to end up in quadrant 4. Now, the way that I remember it is I always know that the two values are going to switch. So the x is going to become the y, and the y is going to become the x in any 90-degree rotation. It's just sometimes I could get confused as to clockwise and counterclockwise, like whether the x becomes a negative y or whether the y becomes a negative x. So when I think about it, 4, 5 is in quadrant 1. If I rotate counterclockwise, 4, 5 ends up in quadrant 4. Well, quadrant 4 has a positive x and a negative y. Positive x, negative y. Which means I know that P prime, my y is going to become my x, and my x is going to become my y, and I know that one of them, either my 5, either my x value or my y value, is going to become negative. If I think about the fact that my quadrant 1 goes to quadrant 4, I know that y in quadrant 4 is negative. So I know my 4 is going to end up being the negative piece of it. Again, when I reflect over y equals negative x, both of my coordinates switch places and become the opposite. So my y becomes my x, but then changes its sign, and my x becomes my y and changes its sign. For 5, w prime is 5, negative 7. So if I think about that, that's in quadrant 4. And when I rotate counterclockwise, I'm going against the clock, so my quadrant 4 is going to end up in quadrant 1. So again, I switch the places. And in this case, my y becomes the opposite and is x, and the x becomes my y. And then translations, the very last one, point Q. I'm going to 4 spaces to the left means I'm minusing 4 from my x, and 2 spaces up means I'm adding 2 to my y. So that was the bell. So please make sure that you remember prime notation for all of these, and that's a wrap.